Okay, another element that I want you to understand is strokes. Let's take this object and delete it. So I grab the selection tool, click on it, and delete it. Let's zoom in. Strokes are what makes elements in Illustrator. And this is your friend, the pen tool. Now I say the friend now because I know the pen tool really well. But if you're just starting Adobe Illustrator, it's your worst enemy. Okay? Just kind of know that. You'll get used to it and it'll become real easy for you. Let's just see how this thing works. If I click, oh, and here's where the pen tool comes in handy and not the plus tool. So pen tool. Notice there's a lot of pen tools and they all look the same. So you want the top one, or P on the keyboard. Let's click and click. It makes a straight line, right? Easy enough. Let's go back to this tool. Now, in order to change its value, how wide it is, what I can do is go over to the stroke palette and drop this down to anything. Let's say 4 points. What happens if I want to change the color? Well, that's easy. I can go over here, make sure this is up front, and hit black. There's another way to do this. In the appearance palette, I have this. If I go over here, rather than worry about juggling these back and forth, I can just go over to the stroke palette. Let's just choose green. Maybe the fill palette, which doesn't even have to work right now. But let's say fill, I'm going to leave alone. And I'll show you something else with this tool. So let's go green and yellow. Really ugly colors on video. Let's grab the pen tool again. This time, let's click, click, click and drag. Click and drag, click and drag. And you notice for every time I click and drag, I get this teeter-totter. Okay? The teeter-totter just makes the line curve well. And you notice it is filling in the ugly yellow. Okay, so right now I don't want to worry about filling in anything. So rather than try to joggle these back and forth, I'm simply going to go over to the fill and click this line right here. This says no fill. Okay, I got a simple element out here and I want to kind of start that way and go over the different kind of selection tools that are available to you. So let's zoom in. This is my selection tool. It selects elements, this being one giant element. My direct selection tool, however, works a little bit differently. What I can do is select points on the element. I can highlight points here and click and drag them. I can click and drag the teeter-totters. Okay, this is a Bezier curve. That's the technical name for it, but just know that it's ran by math, and that's why it's so smooth. And it's very easy to mess up too, because you know how math is. Oh. And you can make this as smooth as you want or as jacked up looking as you want very easily using these tools. So let's kind of make it jacked up looking for a second and go into another tool. Over here I have this nice tool called the smooth tool. It's your lifeblood of Illustrator. I use it all the time. So let's say this element right here is jacked up looking. I can click and drag and make a very cool stylized point right at that point right there. Or if I make wider strokes, which I don't think I'm going to be able to straighten this totally out, maybe. Okay, if I start up here, see, if I start right where it's going and curving down, I can really go in there and move those around. Okay, so that is the smooth tool. Now, if you double click the smooth tool, you have this, smoothness. And you can rank this up. Each tool has something like this probably that pops up every time you double click. So if you want to learn something, the best way to learn it is double click on the element and find out what kind of things that you could change on it. let's say the smoothness now at 80%, it really does smooth out the unit. Okay? And for further smoothness, if you really want to, you can go back to the direct selection tool, find the rocker arm, and kind of mess with it. Okay, what I'm going to do here is kind of bring this one to a point and bring the rocker arm so it's kind of like this. Okay? Now, the rocker arm states if I went to go like this, it straightened it out, right? But it's still curved. And I can only move this rocker arm like this. I can't just bend it, but I can. If I go into a new element called convert anchor point, I can go and click on this, move it down, and notice it moves both ends down. Now I want to highlight the other one. To just go like that, all I do is have to click on the next point and it will come to a point in this region. Very, very cool. So what I could do, let's just do that again. I'll move this one like this. I'll go back to this point and it's going to beep and it's probably going to bring up a warning. I would click the magical button that says don't show again and you'll never have to see that warning ever again. But it will beep annoyingly at you until you pick the right point. And you have to be laser freaking precise when it comes down to that point. So sometimes you got to zoom in, grab the rocker arm, grab this point, and there, voila, it works. Alright, so I'm going to go over a little bit more about lines and how they work in Illustrator in the next video.